Hey YouTube, I figured I'd do a side-by-side comparison between the XMRE MREs and the meal kit supply MREs, and try and, I guess, kind of do a teardown and dissection of how each company makes their MREs and how they stack up one against another. I found myself in the dilemma that because of, I guess, a number of circumstances, I wasn't able to go restock my meal kit supply MREs. I use these on airsoft multi-day events so that I don't need to pack a stove or anything, and at least for me it's a little more convenient. To each their own. I'm not going to get too much into that. So I'm going to start out from the packaging and work my way in. I have a brand new case of XMREs from the year 2020 and an older case of meal kit supply MREs from 2019, so I only have like 3 or 4 left of them, and this is going to be as rigorous a comparison side by side, and I'm actually going to turn on the other camera as well. Alright, so starting from the packaging, on the XMRE side we've got a cardboard carton with a tape closure. They print the lot number on top and they give you instructions as to the lot code. You have some general commentary on the, I guess, storage recommendations: store in a cool, dry place, a URL, and because this is Canada, they're compelled to both in English and French labeling for, I guess, information of substance. So, I mean, on the top you've also got the, let's see here. You've also got the date code blurb in English and French. And then on this side, you've got the, just bring this back here. You've got the menu. So in this case, we've got, what do we have here? This is a 12 pack, 2 lentils with beef, vegetables and sauce, 1 veg stew with beef, 1 chicken pasta parm, 2 chicken creole with brown rice, and 2 turkey chili with beans, and 2 veggie chili entrees. Yeah. And then there's one more at the bottom that's not fully legible. I think that's just because there was like friction or something and it rubbed off the ink. I will note that some of these labels are actually printed after the fact, so like this can actually be removed. I suspect it's because they change their menus and they don't want to have to print it to the box. Contrast that to, actually, one other thing, there's a couple labels here for clearance for export and stuff and import into Canada, but, you know, that's the XMRE case. The meal kit supply case, which is considerably lighter just because it hasn't been fully used, it's a little bit wider, it's a little bit bigger. On the top here, we've got a glue closure flap, and then on the inside they actually put this cardboard insert. This is not how it comes by default. This cardboard closure actually sits completely over the top so that if you try and cut, you have one more layer of cardboard to protect yourself from the contents inside from being cut into. Regardless, we've got on the outside some fairly standard comments: 12 entrees with you know, entree, side dish, a bread, typically, you know, crackers or something, a spread, a drink, or like multiple drink mixes, condiments, dessert, and a spoon and a napkin. So I mean, they tell you what you're getting inside, they tell you the shelf life. Packaging on the outside so far seems okay. This is where we get into some divergence. They print the actual menu contents in full on the box, as the box. This is printed directly on the fiberboard. I mean, they go through each and every component, each and every entree, so you can pick up one of these and know exactly what you're getting in terms of ingredients and any allergy information that you want from here. And I guess more importantly, each of these is in both English and French because this is Canada. So it wraps around to that side of the box, and it wraps around to this side of the box. Fairly substantial labeling and packaging. So in terms of what you're getting on the box, my personal feeling is that you get more information on the meal kit supply box, and you get a better box overall because of this, the glue closure. It's kind of impossible to re-glue a box that's been torn open like this, so you're getting a sealed product, whereas the other package with the plastic tape could be potentially tampered with. Now, of course, all the contents inside are sealed as well, so you'd have a lot harder time tampering with the outer package and then tampering with the inner package, but I feel that this is also just a better box in general. So, time to compare MREs head-to-head. I'm going to grab just a random meal kit supply MRE, and the first one out of the box for a XMRE. This has been completely unplanned, so we'll see how this goes. Alright, so I've got XMRE on the left, meal kit supply on the right. Packaging on the outside, this is a brown, or I guess coyote brown heavy poly bag. Heat seal on the bottom, heat seal on the top. They do list or point at the peelable seal on the top of the packaging, so you can open this without a knife. You get your URL, and then you have your package contents, so you see exactly what the ingredients are when you pick this up. On the meal kit supply side, you also have a heavy plastic bag. This bag feels a little heavier in terms of plastic quality, but I'd pretty much have to, you know what? No, I said I was going to do a thorough comparison. We're going to pull up the micrometers. Yeah, let's do this. We're going to compare one film thickness of poly on each of these. So what do I got here? I have about 6.5 thousandths of an inch on that side, and about 7 thousandths on this side. Let me just do another spot just to make sure that I'm getting more than one data point. Helps I open the micrometers up. 6.5, yeah, about 6.5. Let's get another data point here. That one's closer to 6.5 actually. Let me just. Yeah, that's 6.5. That one's closer to 7. So they're very close, but this one does seem a little bit thicker using a non-calibrated set of micrometers. I mean, I say they're non-calibrated and they're made in China and they're your, Princess Auto Harbor Freight Special, but I have used these against Starrett gauge blocks, and I know that this is actually pretty good. It needed a little bit of tweaking, but it's actually pretty good. So, take it with a grain of salt. This does have slightly thinner plastic, but not by much. I guess in terms of labeling, this package does seem more thorough in your own hands versus the meal kit supply. Because you have a transparent plastic bag, you can see only what is physically visible through the packaging. So right here you can see the heater sleeve of the entree, which in this case is beef ravioli and meat sauce, whereas this one's veggie chili meal kit, and it lists all the individual components for the veggie chili, the mixed fruit, the roasted garbanzo beans, and tortillas, the beverage base, cheese spread with jalapeno, and allergy notification about milk, soy, and wheat. So in terms of labeling, this bag this MRE seems better. In terms of the physical packaging, I think so far this one seems better. On the outside, before I tamper with these anymore, let's do a little weigh-in. If this thing wants to turn on. It's tearing itself. Okay, there, 0 grams, and this isn't going to work out well because my scale's not big enough. Let me just put that on there to try and make it a bigger platform. Nope. Alright, now it's zeroed out. 580 something grams. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be touching any surface. It's fully isolated. It does seem to be slowly changing weight though, which is interesting. So now I'm getting 630. This is definitely not a calibrated scale, so I don't really trust this scale too much. Alright, we're back to 0 on the tear. Let's weigh the meal kit supply. Let's try that again. Can't read that. $590. Okay. So, I mean, this one and this one feel like they're about the same weight. There's maybe a slight difference, and honestly that variation is going to be up to the, I guess, the packaging contents. This review isn't going to go as far as actually eating the contents because I don't want to waste it just for a review. If I was, I would actually weigh up the amount of packaging material in each one and do like a full, you know, empirical and quantitative teardown to say like you're getting more bang for your buck in terms of food versus packaging in one or the other. But I'm not going to go that far. Either way, let's go to the next step. Let's see how the packaging experience is out of the box. I guess because I started with that XMRE, I'm going to start with it again here. We're going to see how easy it is to peel this seal. And actually, alright, so it's not too hard to peel the seal, though it does seem to be over-sealed in one spot because I'm tearing the bag. So it's not quite a clean peel. Let's see if I can rescue this slightly, because I would like to have the bag kind of clean. There we go. So, yeah, there's a little bit of over-sealing, but that's fine. Let's look at the contents of the XMRE. Coming out of the package like this, it seems well packed. This is its presentation from this side. That's its presentation from that side. So, in the veggie meal kit, we've got unsalted chickpeas, lemon beverage base powder, we have tortillas. These are all in foil packaging, though I am immediately noticing that some of this packaging doesn't look all that well, I wouldn't say well sealed, but well laminated. It almost looks like the outer foils aren't fully and correctly bonded to the, you know, these Mylar packages, there's a plastic layer, then an aluminum layer, and then another plastic layer, and it almost seems like some of the plastic layer on the outer is kind of delaminating, which is a way that these do start to fail over time. Got a spoon, napkin, salt and pepper. This is just a regular looking spoon. This does not look very substantial. We got a pouch of mixed fruit with the tear notches sideways, so you can hold this like a bowl, which seems pretty good. Then we got our main entree pouch, which looks fairly benign, veggie chili with the date code on it. And then this thing, the XMRE does this new technology heating element. It's extremely exothermic. It would be interesting actually to do a side-by-side calorimetry experiment between these two MRE heaters. So like build a styrofoam box with a calibrated amount of water and some temperature probes and log, you know, the amount of heat released by these things over time. It would be interesting to try that experiment, though quite a bit of work. Regardless, the heating element is sealed in a separate bag because the FRH bag itself has a steam hole perforated in it, so you can't, I guess you can't do two, taking a step back, you can't put this FRH in this bag with that hole there. Moisture will get in, slowly deactivating or consuming the energy, the chemical energy in this FRH. I'm not going to use the FRH. I'm really just going through the contents to see how they're arranged and how they're presented. The retort pouch for this entree seems a little underwhelming. It seems very generic, and like there's some residue on the outside, so that's maybe not fully impressive. The mixed fruit, this is packed by the Warnick Company, which is reasonably well known of, so you know, at least there's a name you can trust if you're familiar with MREs. This is packed by Nexos, which is the same company that makes the FRH, the tortillas. Giannis Brothers Packaging Company in Kansas, Missouri. I mean, this is basically flavored water mix, so it's not that hard to get right. And unsalted chickpeas, packed also by Nexos in Florida. So I guess the packaging feels a little underwhelming. The presentation is okay, I suppose, and the contents themselves, I will say they feel a little underwhelming relative to what you get in a meal kit supply MRE. I'm going to put all these things back in. Actually, no, I'm not going to put them back in. I'm just going to put them on top so that we can pick and compare items side by side as we go. In terms of the tear seal on this one, it's a little bit more difficult to peel. Once you get it going, it actually goes pretty flawlessly. So, dig into the contents. First thing, this outer bag is pretty much just now a garbage bag. You can use this to store your garbage in. The inner package is separately wrapped above and beyond this pouch. So there's two layers of plastic. This looks like it's a, I forget the name of this style package, but it's basically a tray wrap where, let me just put on the, nope, that's not what I wanted. This is a little overexposed. Basically it's like a tray where there's a top layer here, and the rest of this is just a very thin plastic that can be held in a vacuum tray. Switch cameras back. Alright, so opening this, I'm going to open it this way using one of the tear tabs. Oh, I've already messed that one up. Let's actually watch what I'm doing here. Alright, so tear tab open. Let's look at the contents here thoroughly. I will have to say that the meal kit supply is much better packed. This is how it presents as so, and then if you flip it, that's how it's presented. So everything's very neatly stacked. Alright, we have a retort pouch beef ravioli and meat sauce. This does feel a lot sturdier than the retort pouch for the entree on the XMRE side. We got a bread item, crackers, packed by Sopaco in Mullen, South Carolina. We've got a packet of hot sauce, Diamond Crystal Brands in Georgia. We got a packet of grape jelly, Diamond Crystal Brands again. And this is where the meal kit supply MREs start to stand out a bit more. You get these larger drink bags. Sometimes you get, what's the right term? Sometimes you get Ziploc bags that you can actually fill with water, close, and shake up. In other cases you don't. But I mean, this is still a big enough bag where I can pour water in, roll up the top, give it a shake, and just drink from this if I don't have a canteen cup handy. whereas this has to go into a canteen cup. So the drink mix is a little nicer in the packaging. Plus you get 2 items. You get a milk chocolate cocoa beverage powder. I've never liked these. This is Gianna's Brothers Packaging Company again, so I mean they must have won the bid there. This is also Gianna, so they do drink mixes. So you get a milk chocolate and a carbohydrate electrolyte beverage. In terms of caloric content and sugars, you get ever so slightly more sugar in the XMRE version, and noticeably a lot more, I'd almost want to say double the sodium per bag. The XMRE drink mix has only 75 milligrams of sodium, whereas and only 1 milligram of potassium, whereas the meal kit supply has 130 milligrams of sodium and 55 milligrams of potassium. This is an oral rehydration solution. This is a drink mix, so major standout for meal kit supply in that case. We have the FRH, which is a fairly standard flameless ration heater. This is your bog standard. You jam your retort pouch in there, you fill it with the water to the fill line, get it all wet, roll it up, stuff it in the heater sleeve, and that's about it. Nothing special to write home about there. We have a chocolate pudding dessert powder. I've never actually had these, so it would be interesting to see how this actually tastes while having an airsoft game. This might be a welcome treat, or this might be disgusting and make me regret not having a toilet nearby. We have the accessory pack with the spoon. Oh, I guess I must have torn this open, or it was already torn open. I suspect this was torn open during handling, so that's a slight minus on their front, but to take a look at the spoon that you get with the meal kit supply versus the spoon that you get with the XMRE, this feels like it's more sturdy. This looks like it's just a dollar store disposable spoon. This just looks like regular off-the-shelf plastic cutlery. This looks like it's actually purpose-made for MREs because it's long enough to get down into those retort pouches. So, siding with meal kit supply on this case, we have a serving of Zapple sauce. This is actually really good stuff, and I like this, so great to see this in here. And then the heater sleeve with the nutritional caloric information on here. So, all in all, what do we have? We have 1 snack item, 2 snack items, 3 snack items when you factor in the hot sauce or the grape jelly. On the XMRE side, we have tortillas, we have mixed fruit and unsalted chickpeas, so that's also 3 snack items, that's equal. In terms of the packaging of the actual MRE, I kind of have to side with meal kit supply in terms of the niceness of the entrees, or not entrees, but all the food items inside. The meal kit supply one stands out again. You actually get some electrolytes in your drink. I'm not a fan of the milk chocolate, but you know what? If there's someone that is, maybe I'll just mail out a whole bunch of bags of these because I've got like 6 of these things just kicking around in a spare bag. In terms of the retort pouch, it just feels solid. So what else we got? I'm just trying to restack this about the same way it came out. Probably not doing a good job because I'm not a professional MRE packer. But, yeah, in terms of the contents, all things compared, I kind of have to side with the meal kit supply over the XMRE, even though their flameless ration heater is better. They have a better accessory pack, they have better food, We will see how this actually works out in a couple weeks when I hopefully, depending on how COVID goes, get to go to a airsoft game finally, because I've been itching for that. Now, why did I end up in this situation in the first place? I wanted to order from Meal Kit Supply. I've been waiting for a while. It turns out that if you look on the Government of Canada website, you can actually find the open bidding that's just viewable to anyone. Companies are eligible to bid on different contracts, and the lowest or best bidder for the fit wins. That's how public sector procurement goes, and Department of National Defense is no exception. Meal Kit Supply, which was listed as a company of 5 to 9 employees in Canada, somehow ended up with a $12 million contract with multiple amendments, so I guess the contract changed slightly over time, and they've been providing components or full MREs to the Canadian Forces, probably in, the standard Canadian Forces IMP package, the paper with the foil bag inside, rather than the, I guess, US style MRE packaging with the plastic packaging all over the place. All things compared, I wish I could have gotten the Meal Kit Supply MRE this time, and I probably will next time. We will see how well the food compares, especially when I'm tired after a game of airsoft. I think that's about it for this video. I mean, this was really just an academic exercise to see how these two products compared side by side, and then eventually go and actually eat these. But I'm not going to film me eating, because I'm not going to do what a whole bunch of other YouTubers do, which is just film themselves eating food. I want to actually talk about something appreciable here. And I guess the only other thought I have is, if you were to want to field strip your MRE, so that means that you take away all the superfluous items, I kind of feel that this MRE may win out in that circumstance, because some of these items do seem a little bit lighter. The tortillas, for instance, that's just a nice little package, but it's a little bit flexible. The crackers from this package, they're rigid. It's like a solid brick. It's been vacuum sealed so well. This does take up a bit more space, but it's flexible, so it doesn't just crack on you. The mixed fruit pouch compared to the Zapple sauce. The Zapple sauce is better to eat on the go because it's got a little tear tube and a spout, but I guess if you're looking for a mouthfeel, the mixed fruit may end up being better, because the Zapple sauce is literally just a paste. You suck on it like baby food. This actually has at least some mouthfeel. If you're getting really bored of field rations, this might be better. This is all hypothesis and supposition here. Unsalted chickpeas, you get a lot of dietary fiber here. 43% dietary fiber. This may be the solution to meals ready to expel. We'll see. In terms of the entree, this is veggie chili, which I'm kind of by default not a fan of veggie just because I like my meat, but that's a personal preference, and there's nothing wrong with being vegetarian. The caloric content of this is perfectly acceptable, and, let's face it, in the end, it's all the same. When it comes out the other end, it's all the same. You could eat beef ravioli or veggie chili. Your butt doesn't care. That's as plain as I can get. But the retort pouch does seem like it could use a little more love or presentation, because this feels very cheap, very thin, and I'd worry about the integrity of the food if it was any thinner. But they do win out on the FRH, because you can find videos of the XMRE flameless ration heater, and it really, really has a lot of energy. If I can, I will try and actually save one of the MRE heaters from each of these, if only so that I can record or like do an experiment and measure the caloric output of each one of these. Ultimately, if you're at an airsoft game and you've got a car, just roll the windows up, put this on the dashboard, and it gets heated up very quickly. As good as an FRH without having to waste the FRH. So there's definitely another option there. I'm gonna aim to try and do a follow-up video in maybe a couple months when I get the chance to do a comparison on the flameless ration heater. So side-by-side comparison without actually opening the food contents, and just being objective about the contents, their caloric values, and all things considered. We'll see how things end up, actually having eaten these, and I'll probably film the second half of this video in a couple weeks after I've eaten some of these. Until next time, I suppose. Peace out.